Hi, everyone. Welcome to RingReady Live, the home of the owner handler, brought to you by Showsite Magazine. I'm Dan Sayers with Showsite here once again with Lee Whittier, the dog show mentor. Lee, how are you today?
I am great. I just came back from New Jersey.
Yes, I thought that was you I had dinner with the other
That's right.
night. Anyway, we'll talk a bit about that in a moment. But, we had the third of your three-part master class last night. It ended. It was a lot of fun, very interactive. And I thought that maybe you could share some of what we talked about in in class last night.
I sure can. Really fast. The people who attended came away with the tools and training to make a plan and back it up with action and support. There you go.
Yeah, in a nutshell, it was great. I know that I felt empowered. I know that listening to you, of course, and as well as the comments from some of the participants was really encouraging. And it got my head spinning about the action steps that I need to take with my owner handled
Well,
puppies. So,
sure. And one of the things that we talked about, and this is sort of a, a a little early, but because today we're going to talk about defining and being what do we mean by being a loser?
mm,
And last night we talked about that you have to be a winner before you can become a winner. So they're sort of um, connected and yet opposite sides of the same coin. So I'm
for
going to have fun
sure.
with this.
I thought that that was very interesting the way that you sort of preface being a winner as opposed to becoming a winner. Sounds the same on the surface, but those are two very different things. And unfortunately, y'all, you had to be in class last night to get the secret to learn that distinction. Very important. But Lee, I know you'll have master classes in the future, and I encourage everyone to join you for those. As you said, we're going to be talking about sore losing. And I'm going to ask specifically to everyone, are you a sore loser? But before we get to our topic today, as always, let us know where you're from. Let us know your breed. And, it's not too early to start making plans for the National Owner Handled Series finals to be held in December in Orlando. So let us know if you are planning to compete at the NOHS finals in Orlando at the end of the year. So I see Julie, Cindy, Callie, you're back. Glad to have you here with us again today. And Lee, I'm sorry, but I have to just ask you about your recent trip to New Jersey. It was great to see you. I was so glad that I was able to watch you in the center of the ring. And everyone, if you have a chance to either be in the ring when Lee's in the center, or if you just have a chance to observe your judging style, Lee. It was really a pleasure. It was really easy to follow what you were doing in your rings. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Well, I love going coast to coast and in the middle and in different regions because you see different styles of dogs. You see different quality of dogs, and you also see different styles of handling. And I think we're going to talk about that very thing in another Facebook Live.
Mm,
We're going to talk about different styles of handling and how that comes through for the judge. So stay tuned for that. Loved was Ramapo Kennel Club. They did a delightful job, wonderful hospitality, and beautiful show site. Great show site. We did have some weather on Saturday and had to move the groups indoors, but that actually was terrific because it was a beautifully matted area um, inside. So, and I got to see you, Dan, in person.
in person, and you're right, that show site was indeed lovely. The club did a great job of sort of reconditioning their plan, if you will, when that storm front came through. And Lee, you and I got to discover a great Asian fusion restaurant. So if you all want to know where to get good Asian fusion in rural northern New Jersey, we know the place. So
That's right.
Again, that place was not a loser. But unfortunately, most of the time when we show our dogs, we are, we are losers. Maybe not most of the time, but at least some of the time. And so nobody, however, likes a sore loser. So I asked the question, Lee, why is it that some people always seem disappointed when their dog doesn't win? And could it be that their expectations are greater than their commitment to preparation and training? What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know whether it's greater than their preparation training, but we can have expectation and but be detached from the
Mm,
outcome. And I think that's where that lies is if you can have expectancy, but if you have an expectation, you've got to feel detached from that, or you're going to feel disappointment. And a lot of people, when they feel disappointment, they allow that to be visible to other people.
mm.
And we should always be able to overcome our feelings of loss and disappointment with the joy that we could feel for others' wins.
That's great. That word disappointment is key, isn't it? Because you can be disappointed but be gracious. You can be disappointed without being a sore loser. Um, Let me ask all of you, how do you define loser? What does that mean for you? And what is your definition of loss when you are showing your dog? Is it just not placing? Is it just not getting the points? Or is it something else? That's what I think we want to investigate a little bit here today is what does loser mean and what does a loss mean to you? And Lee, can I start just really, really briefly?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
when I'm showing my dog, my I always have a goal, very specific goal that hopefully I've been working on prior to the show, at least from the previous show to this next show. And if I achieve that goal, whatever that may be, I'm a winner, and my dog is a winner, in my opinion. Um, if I should lose in terms of placements or in terms of points, that's something different. And um, and I guess what I want to say is, before I get go into the ring, I want to look at my competition, and I should know who should win the class. Now that may be my little bitch puppy, or it may be her competition, but I should really be able to look around and know, okay, that's I'm going to be a loser only because that dog is my competition. So um, it's very wordy, which is typical of me. But being a loser is, I guess, it's not clear cut. It is the opposite of winning, of course, but there's so much more nuance to it.
I love
First,
what Peggy says. She says, my dog and I are never losers. We may not be the judge's choice that day, but we are
mm,
still winners. That is
that's
a
great.
powerful statement and a powerful understanding of your dog, the standard, and what your ideals are for your breed. Thank
That's
you,
great.
Peggy. Julie says sometimes it's not so much a sore loser, it's the competitive nature is people that get frustrated when they don't win or place. Yeah, there's frustration there, disappointment. Um, and for some people, I have noticed they feel entitled.
Mm,
And when they feel entitled, they that's an even different response or reaction. It's really a reaction, not a response. A response would be more controlled. But um, when people feel entitled, that's to me the really the ugliest And I see that sometimes I've seen that in group wins
Mm.
when a top winning dog is suddenly group two, and they can barely contain themselves to say thank you when handed a red ribbon. That is that's not where I think our sport really lies. Um, where it lies is when, and we talked about this when we were thinking about this show. Is that recently um, I was in the East, and I happened to notice a particular handler who was exceptionally gracious for every win and through some pretty big losses, what other people might call losses, genuinely congratulatory. And if that person wasn't genuine, it sure came out that way.
Mm.
So that was that was a pretty high level of understanding of sportsmanship, true sportsmanship.
We are a sport after all, and good sportsmanship should always be evident. It's not always practiced, is it? But that example that you just gave is really an inspiration for all of us. And I think that that man or woman is probably one of several who can rise to the occasion um, when they've experienced what they might consider a loss, or maybe their clients
And
would
and we
consider a
and
loss.
we as exhibitors need to notice
Mm.
how those people are responding, and and when we notice that, we should emulate the ones that are really sportsmanlike, and and frankly step away from those that aren't, in whatever way. I call it, uh, and I've said this many times, Fave Five. Who are your five people who are positive and forward thinking and have the same values, in a positive way that you have towards dogs and dog shows and maybe even life.
Good point. A lot of what is good for dogs and dog shows is good for life as well. Lee, I would consider you one of the five people. I can
Thank
tell
you.
all of you who are watching that Lee is indeed positive. She's a smart uh, teacher and mentor, but always positive. Lee, you're not always going to sugarcoat things, but you are always going to put a positive note forward. And I think your comment about that the handler just demonstrates that I think it takes a positive person to acknowledge the positive in others, and it's so easy, particularly with social media, to get dragged down with all the negativity. But before you type and hit send, ask yourself, do you really want to contribute to that aspect of not only the sport and dogs, but in life? Or do you want to elevate it? And do you want to keep things positive? Because if you're positive, as I think Diane said, you're not a loser. You're never a loser. Um,
Yeah, and Jane says that as a parent of a junior, I'm really working hard on showing a good example of being a good loser and also a humble winner. But we are flawed. Yes, yes, I guess we are flawed. So how do you so we've done a little bit on defining what a loser is, but can people put in the chat, provide some examples of great sportsmanship,
hmm.
besides what I said? So, maybe you're actually helping others. Maybe you're actually um, assisting people in grooming or training. Maybe somebody's having a training problem. I have many times said to an exhibitor, who's struggling with some aspect of presentation, usually a pretty basic aspect, and said, "You see that person over there? I think that person could help you figure
Mm.
that out." And oftentimes it's showing the bite or showing the mouth or stacking a dog, so that it looks like the breed that it is. It's usually pretty basic.
Basic, but oh so important. Without that direction, hey, there's your help right there. She or he will be happy to help you with what you're struggling with. Without that, a person could struggle for years. I like what Cindy says. She says that she likes learning by watching the judge or other handling teams. Cindy, it must have been showing dogs for a while. That is indeed important. Watching, judging, and watching those handling teams that you admire. You're watching them because they're doing something that wins, something that they're doing right. I know, Lee, watching you judge several groups this weekend, I learned a lot. I certainly learned a great deal about your judging style, which, by the way, everyone, very welcoming and encouraging. Lee, you give clear directions. I can't always say that the exhibitors take the direction as maybe they ought to. That's that's another subject, and I think
Yeah.
they need to reach out to the dog show mentor for some direction. But your ring was very welcoming, and also watching how you examine the breeds, I learned a thing or two about some of them, where you put your hands, and exactly some of the direction that you were giving. So yes, Cindy, learning by watching the judges. We all should take some time out to do that at every show we attend.
So, and Jane says, I like the sandwich method, one positive, then teeny thing to improve, followed by
Mm.
another positive element. I take things better that way. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great feedback loop, feedback method um, to use. Yeah. What did you like? What could you improve on? Yeah, absolutely.
Jane, it sounds like your junior has a great role model in uh, his or her mother. So she or he are very lucky to have you.
One of the things that helps people change their attitude is a little bit what we talked about earlier, changing, um, learning to change your mindset around winning and losing is, of course, studying your standard and knowing where your dog is weak. And sometimes we need help with that.
Mm.
Um, I recently did a secret weapon session with one of my members who was struggling with, you know, why is my dog not winning more? And we had to go through the standard really carefully and really look at her dog. And it's we did it together. I encouraged her to, I pointed her to certain words that maybe needed some boosting in her dog. And so I think that we're all, when like I just have a new puppy and we're going to go to some shows in November and he's going to have to, I'm going to have to be right in the hot seat, just like all of you are. Um, so really focus on your standard. What does it say? How is the judge interpreting it? And what does that mean for you? So someone earlier said, oh, well, I always go home with a winner. Well, yeah, thank you. That's so important to keep in mind that it might not be the judge's choice that day. Right. Lacey says, what about a bitch or dog winning because of the political side of showing, not having the actual breed being judged to the standard? Lacey, at Dog Show Mentor, we are anti-politic. And I'm going to actually have a masterclass on that very shortly because many times it's an out. And from the judge's perspective, I can tell you that sometimes it's an out for an exhibitor to believe that it's political when in fact it's really about um, the dog itself, the presentation of the dog, and how that dog compares to the other dog. Now, sometimes the dog that wins that is believed to be political ends up being uh, the virtues are presented more effectively. So we don't we don't we don't go there. That's um, not something that we do. All right. Um, good. All right. So one way that I like to see as a judge is when exhibitors congratulate each other. Do you come up and do you look somebody in the eye and really, I mean, you can fist bump, you can elbow, you can shake the hand of the person, whatever you feel comfortable with during this particular time in our lives. I still see people hugging each other. Congratulations, and with authentic feeling.
Mm.
So that part is really exciting to me as a judge to see that level of sportsmanship, whether it's a quality handled dog, um, owner handled dog, whatever it is. I see the owner handlers for the most part supporting each other, right? But not always. So I would like to see that change, that level of commitment to the sport is to say, hey, the sport is, this is a competition. I'm showing my dog. It's a competitive sport, right? All right. So, what do you think? I want to hear what you all think.
You've touched on so many good points there, Lee. Kathy says that in her breed, there's a certain camaraderie and they're always nice to each other and happy for one another when they win. I think it could be said that some breeds are a little more welcoming, perhaps, to newcomers than others, but whichever your breed and whatever the community you've stepped into, you can lead by example. There is no reason why their negativity needs to become your negativity. Why not be the positive influence in your breed? Why not congratulate the winner? Because it's good sportsmanship to do so, you know?
Well,
Uh,
and as the next day, you could be the one that wins. And don't you want people to clap for your dog and support your dog and be happy for you? Or maybe you don't care, but I mean, I think that's just part of our sport is, yeah, supporting
yeah.
each other. I've seen a lot of the bulldog people are amazing, amazing sportsmen and women. They support each other. They stay for the groups and applaud, and it's inspiring for me to see that.
That's inspiring to you as the judge, but inspiring to you as an exhibitor and even as a
Yeah,
spectator, I would think. Yeah. Every show there are moments of great sportsmanship. You just have to be part of that or be open to it. But we're all at shows and we hear the uproar, the screams when a certain dog is pointed to.
yeah,
Remember being at the garden and that would just erupt throughout the day. It was so exciting to see the hugs that would follow the cheers. But that occurs, at every show. I heard it this past weekend in at the Ramapo shows.
yeah, absolutely. And Jane says, it's
Mm.
nice to tell the winner something you really loved that they did. Isn't that a lovely idea? Wow, you gated her beautifully. My goodness, she looked incredible on the table. Um, Maybe if they have time, ask for a tip. If you lose, you learn. Big point
Jane,
there. I hope all of you are taking this in because there's some really great comments here, and we want to hear from you too. We've only got a couple of minutes left. If you have additional questions, uh, we just might have time for one more.
Julie says that she thinks it's important to be genuine while congratulating another competitor. Absolutely. And I would suggest that we need to be genuine all the time. Just Just be your genuine Julie, be your genuine Dan and your genuine Lee, and everything else is just going to follow. Being authentic maybe is another word. And I want to say that when you're authentic, your dog knows that as well, and your dog is right there. If you are in the moment, you are clear, you are sending messages to your dog, or you're speaking to your dog in ways that are clear and genuine and authentic, your dog is going to reflect that. And I think that that's just going to emanate from you as a dog handler team. And the judge is going to find that irresistible, provided
That
your
is,
dog meets the standard.
it's true. And I think also, if you haven't gotten the win that day under that judge and you're happy and you're excited for the winner, then your dog thinks they won, and you always want your dog
Right.
to think that they've won. And I'm so interested in Irka says, I always congratulate winners, but a lot of times they act as if they don't hear me. And I want to tell you, they probably don't, because honestly, there's so
Yes.
many exhibitors who say, "Oh, I didn't hear you." Now, I do tend to speak softly, but people are always saying to me, "Oh, I don't hear well." So it could be that they authentically, some of those people don't hear you. Um,
Sometimes when you've just won, your head just freezes and you literally are not taking in what's happening around you. It takes a few minutes for you to come back down to earth. So,
yeah,
just congratulate the winner always. Don't expect anything in return. Lee, what you said a moment ago, congratulate the winner, but act like your dog won so that your dog believes it won,
that's right.
because maybe it did in its eyes. So
Well,
so be joyful in all
Well,
ways.
and also there may be a lot of people outside the ring that thought that you should have won, so
There
they're
you
happy
go.
that you're happy. I mean, who wants to see the one that you love? You're like, "Oh, I love that dog. Oh, look at oh, he, went best of opposite. You didn't win the breed, went best of opposite." And you're like, "Yay." And they're like, "Oh, good, she's not unhappy, Phew." So, it's there are a lot of possibilities. It's that what if question that I always ask, right? You know me, you know that I always ask. So,
Mhm.
what if our response was this instead of this? What if we acted in this way instead of that way? So, there's always that moment in time where we can shift our mindset, which somebody said early on, it's mindset. When we shift our mindset, um, we have room for good sportsmanship within ourselves, and that's just always good. It's good for our dogs. It's good for the sport. All right. So I think that we have done it for today. I know there have been some people who have said to me at shows lately, "Hey, could you do it a little longer?" And
Mhm.
my response is, this is the time that we have set aside, and unfortunately, there isn't more time. But if you would like to be Dog Show Mentor member, there's lots of time. So uh, get in touch with me.
Yes, and
Um,
Lee, how would everyone get in touch with you? I know there's several places to find you.
Yeah, so Facebook Messenger is always good because it's right in my face. You can email me at lee@dogshowmentor.com. And those are two great ways to reach me. Join my owner handled Facebook group. So it's Dog Show Mentor Owner Handlers Facebook group. And if you join that, then you'll get more contact with me there as well.
And Lee, everybody can always find you in the pages of Showsite and Ring Ready. You author a monthly column that appears in the printed magazine as well as online. And your item in the October issue, in the current issue, is one that we're going to be discussing here next week in part. So I want to encourage everyone to read Lee's current column, before you join us for next week's show. That's going to be very exciting. And Lee and I have already been discussing the following week's show, which is a follow up to my current column. So read that as well. And we'll be very interested to hear what you have to say on those subjects. We're not going to tell you what they are. So go to the current issue of Ring Ready and Showsite Magazine to find out what they are. We always have an article for you that you can read anytime. It's always available to you. Also available to you, in addition to Lee, the dog show mentor, and myself, is Megan. She is your customer relations manager, and you can always reach her at Megan, Meegan, at showsitemagazine.com to discuss your plans for advertising in Showsite and in Ring Ready. We mentioned the National Owner Handled series is ending. The finals will be in 2 months' time. So several of you replied in the comments that you are planning to attend. So if you are and you want to be seen, you want to get some greater visibility, and you want to celebrate all that you've done during this past somewhat chaotic year of showing dogs, there's a great way to do that, and Megan can help you get your wins celebrated in Ring Ready. Lee, any last comments from you?
Yes, you saw it on my face. So October is Member Appreciation Month. It's also our anniversary month at Dog Show Mentor. And so every week I'm having specials. So the specials that went with the challenge are gone now. But if you want to join Dog Show Mentor this week, I'm having a t-shirt special where you get a t-shirt when you join.
That sounds like a lot of fun. And once again, I want to encourage everyone to reach out to Lee. Being a member of Dog Show Mentor, there's nothing else like it in the sport. Even this 30 minutes of Ring Ready Live that we have, it's just a little introduction to what Lee has for you as an owner handler. Please don't hesitate. And if you can't do it this year, there's all of next year. Make plans to become a member and to just increase your growth and in the sport, in your relationship with your dog. Lee, I've been in the sport a long time, but I can assure you that every conversation that we have, there's at least one takeaway where I think, oh, that's why she's the dog show mentor. I never thought about it that way. And, some of your members, some of the people who were in class last night, they've been paying attention to you as well, because I can tell that they too have some things that they can offer. It's amazing the information that is available to all of us through media such as this and by becoming a member.
There's so many aha moments when we get together. I'm always excited to hear what people have to say.
Yeah, you got a great group, and it was great to be part of each of the 3 recent master classes. So again, a little plug for the Dog Show Mentor. I want to thank all of you for joining us here today. It's really great to see your familiar names. I want to thank you all for participating in the conversation. You've given us some things to think about, all of us. I want to thank Jane in particular. Jane, 3 really strong suggestions on your part. I don't know where you live, but if you're ever at a show, or if I'm at a show near you, come say hello. And I want to thank you in person for your participation. And that goes for all of you. If you see Lee judging or even showing, say hello when her judging assignment is finished. Please do the same for me and for Megan, should you see us. And until we get together again next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific, I just want to remind you to keep having fun with your dogs.
And see you in the winner's circle.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Julie. And thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Erica. Wow. Maureen says that she's new to this sport. I love hearing that, don't you?